Can count, please. Please.
As far as I'm concerned, Board and Commission questions are like seating.
They're like what?
Seating, based on seniority.
You can only pull that seniority card for so long.
Right.
Mark, are you ready to record?
You guys ready?
Just a second.
And you're recording over there, Sarah?
I'm going to record here. Mark should be recording here. Mark, can you unmute and let us know if you're ready to record?
Yes, we are recording.
Thank you, Mark.
Sounds good. First is Joe Frajola. I think it sounds very familiar.
He wasn't supposed to do last time, was he?
No. Good evening.
Hi, guys.
How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good. Mr. Frajola?
Yeah, for Gola.
Fragola. Yeah. Perfect. Good to meet you, man.
You too.
Joe, I'm Nathaniel Sierra. I'm a council member for District 1 as well as mayor for the city of Inglewood. Joe, we're going to ask you 7 questions tonight. You'll have 10 minutes to answer the questions. At the 9-minute mark, I'll let you know that you're down to 1 minute remaining. If we happen to have any additional time, you can ask any questions of this council. So,
Okay.
are you ready to begin?
Sure.
All right, let me start that timer. So, Joe, my question to you is, what motivates you to apply for an Inglewood board at this time?
I just felt like I wanted to volunteer for something, give back to the community. Also looking to volunteer for Habitat. So, yeah, I'm semi-retired now, so I get a little extra time on my hands.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Good evening, Mr. Fragola. I'm Joe Anderson, District 3 Council Member and Mayor Pro Tem. Thanks for coming out tonight.
My pleasure.
My question for you is, what knowledge, skills, or abilities would you bring to the boards that you've applied for, which looks like is Historic Preservation Commission and Code Enforcement Advisory Committee? And how would you provide a positive benefit to Inglewood through serving on one of those boards?
Well, I'm not quite sure what my expertise is in these areas, but the benefits I would bring, I know I've been around for 69 years, you know, lived in different places and have seen towns progress in a positive way and towns progress in a negative way. Used to live up in Steamboat Springs, saw the growth in that town. I served on a committee up there at one time. But, you know, and I've been, you know, a nurse, a psychiatric nurse, so I think that kind of helps me out a little bit in dealing with people and situations. So.
Very good. Thank you.
Hi there. My name's Kim Wright, and I'm one of the at-large council members. Do you prefer Joseph, Joe? It doesn't matter?
Joe.
Okay. Can you please describe an experience where you worked with a group of people that sometimes had opposing views and perspectives?
Well, I pretty much get that every day at work. Actually, it was a situation at work just recently. You know, I'm per diem at my job, so for a while I felt like it wasn't quite my place to, you know, make some observations of things that I thought weren't going well. But eventually I decided I need to speak up. It's just the way, you know, working with the psych population, you got to be very careful not to escalate situations. You need to de-escalate. And there was an incident there that I felt that some employees were not quite up to the task of de-escalating. You know, they would escalate instead. And ultimately, I had to address that. You know, I tried to address it with them directly at first, and then when that didn't bear fruit, I needed to, you know, go up to the nurse manager.
And it was resolved to your satisfaction?
No.
Thank you for your honesty.
You know,
It's a difficult
nothing
bill.
changed. Yeah.
I appreciate your honesty. Thank you.
Good evening, I'm Steve Ward, I represent Council District 4. And my question for you is, what do you like the best about Inglewood?
I like the small town feel that it actually has, you know. Started going to the local rec and playing pickleball, and that actually, to be honest, that kind of drew me into the community more than anything else. I met a lot of people there, and very nice people, so I you know, I'm enjoying the people of Inglewood. I like the Broadway downtown area. You know, there are some aspects that aren't, you know, as good as others, but all in all, I like the town and would like to see if I can help in any way.
Great, thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Pergola again. My name is Rita Russell. I'm a council member at large. And my question for you is, what would you like to see improved in Inglewood regarding the boards and commissions you applied for?
Ooh, that's a tough one. To be honest with you, I don't really know a lot about the boards. You know, I just applied to see what was open. So what would I like to see as improved? I'm not sure I can really give a valid or decent answer to that question. I would just, you know, like to offer what I can, you know, and I hope, you know, hopefully the town, you know, progresses and, you know, good fashion.
Fair enough.
Yeah, not a good answer, I know.
Well, no, listen, that's fair enough because, so are your two boards, Historic Preservation and Code Enforcement Advisory Committee?
Yeah. So, you know, I do have a construction background as well, and I've renovated a lot of houses, and I renovated a house over on I live.
Okay.
So for the historic aspect, actually, I can bring something to the table because I love historic buildings. I think they need to be preserved. You know, I just renovated a 1936 cottage, a bungalow, you know, and I kept it as original as I possibly could. And yeah, so I certainly appreciate the architecture and historic buildings. Would definitely like to see that preserved as much as possible.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Tina Prang. I'm also a council member at large. And my question is about attendance and engagement with the boards and commissions.
Okay.
Do you see any roadblocks or barriers to you being able to have regular attendance and engagement with the boards that you?
I don't, how often do they meet? I don't
I'll
know.
say-
Because-
Usually it's about once a month. The two that
Typical
you
boards.
talked about,
Yeah.
once a month. So Historic Preservation meets the third Wednesday of the
Third
month.
Wednesday of the month.
And then Code Enforcement. I think
same-
Code Enforcement is
third
the same,
month.
yeah.
They're on the same
Yeah,
evening.
same night, third Wednesday of the month.
Yeah, I don't really see any problem. Well, let me take a step back. The only thing that brings me out of town usually is, so I do a lot of rafting in the summer.
Okay.
So if I happen to be on a raft trip,
I'm sorry, Joe, you're gonna have to change that.
Yeah. No fun for you.
the permits are so hard to get. That's- I couldn't pass one up if I get it. I mean, I only do, you know, 2 or 3 trips a summer, so hopefully it won't interfere, but that would be the only thing.
Thank you.
Hi there, I'm Chelsea Jane Camp, City Councilmember for District 2. Thank you for being willing to reinvest in your community. I'd love to hear if you were to be appointed to one of these boards, how do you think it might serve you personally or professionally?
Oh, yeah, you know, I think the benefit to me is great as well, you know, just because it feels good to volunteer, to give back, you know. Being more engaged in the community would be nice because, you know, that sense of community is something I've missed out in other places, you know, and I would certainly benefit from that. It's a sense of community, you know, just trying to help out would be a great feeling.
Wonderful, thank you.
Well, Mr. Pergola, you got about 2 minutes left. Any questions that you happen to have for us?
Sure, so which boards are most likely to have a need? So historical?
Anybody?
Take
a look.
I
Historic
think-
preservation, there's
Preservation.
one
That's one.
position open.
Code Enforcement
And-
has two, has also.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, the code enforcement is that building code?
No, it's it's probably police code, and it's an advisory committee to council.
Okay,
We look at different codes, mostly around dogs and things like that.
okay. So would there be, literature or whatever for me to peruse before meetings and so
Oh, absolutely.
homework to do?
Both of them,
Okay.
you would get a
Yeah.
packet information before the meeting.
Okay, great.
Okay.
All right, so that would have something, okay, yeah, good.
Okay.
Questions? I don't know, I think that's about it. I
Okay.
don't-
Perfect. No, so Joe, no, I appreciate you making time for us and your willingness to serve the community. We're going to deliberate later on tonight in terms of placements. We'll make a final
Okay.
decision on Monday, February 5th. At that point, somebody from the city clerk's office will reach out to you about any type of placement. And again, thank you very much for making time for us tonight.
Hey, thanks, nice to meet
Yeah,
you
great to
guys.
meet you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Have a good night. Should have asked him about his rafting. I'm guessing he's down in Grand Canyon since he's talking
Oh,
about permits.
rafting?
Yeah.
Yeah, or down Arkansas.
Or where? Down the Arkansas?
Arkansas,
Do they
the-
require permits there? Like,
I
Out
don't
in
know,
advance?
there's so many, but you gotta think of all the rafting companies
yeah,
and
'cause
stuff like that.
I know you
The
can do like
Colorado
grounds and all
River.
that, yeah.
You can just have a seat for a better whiteboard.
Hi there.
Howdy.
How you doing, Mr. Mandel?
Yeah, not too bad. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming, taking some time with us.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Mandel, I'm Nathaniel Sierra. I forgot to turn off the timer. There we are. Mr. Mandel, my name is Nathaniel Sierra. I'm a council member for District 1 as well as mayor for the city. Tonight, we're going to be asking you 7 questions. You'll have 10 minutes to answer those 7 questions. At the 9-minute mark, I'll let you know that you have about a minute left. If there's any additional time remaining, you can ask council any questions that you haven't asked. So, are you ready to begin?
Sure.
So, Mr. Mandel, my first question for you is, what motivates you to apply for an Inglewood board at this time?
Yeah. I've always been really passionate about local government. I went to school and got a master in public policy and public administration. And I recently moved to Inglewood and want to be more involved in my community. And I see this as a great way to give back to the place that I live, and also as a way to build my skills for the career that I choose to pursue.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Mr. Mandel.
Good evening, Mr. Mandel. I'm Joe Anderson, District 3 Council Representative and Mayor Pro Tem. My question for you this evening is, what skills or abilities, knowledge do you bring to the Board of Commission that you applied for? I guess that's the Budget Advisory Committee and the Transportation Advisory Committee.
Yeah.
And how would Inglewood benefit by your service on one of those boards?
Yeah, so my most recent position with locality was Clear Creek County. And one of my responsibilities with Clear Creek County was to put together the 2023 budget book. I worked on a variety of aspects of that, including making sure that the revenues and expenditures that different departments provided us were relatively accurate, and working on estimating costs for different capital projects. That budget was awarded by the GFOA with the Distinguished Budget Presentation Award. I know that's an award that Inglewood has received and is looking to go after again. So I think my experience working with that budget closely mirrors a lot of what I would be doing on the Budget Advisory Committee. While working for Colorado State University, I was on the CBAC, the Campus Bicycle Advisory Committee, and we worked with the city and both the municipal and campus police to create cycling and transportation policies for campus. I also have worked on budgets for a variety of other projects and different positions that I've been in for smaller initiatives and programs.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Mandel.
Hi there.
Hi.
My name's Kim Wright, and I'm one of the at-large council members. Can you pronounce your first name so we just have it?
No worries. So Nevin, both are correct. when your parents name you Nevin Haskell von Hortenau Mandel, you kind of just go.
Okay.
But I do appreciate you asking.
So what do you prefer?
Nevin's fine.
Nevin, okay, perfect. Please describe an experience where you worked with a group of people that sometimes had opposing views and perspectives.
Sure. Going back to my work with Clear Creek County, another one of my responsibilities, which was actually a little related to the GFOA requirements, was helping to develop performance measures for various departments within the county. Of course, at the county level, you have a lot more elected officials with a lot more independence, and when folks folks tell elected officials that they need to instill performance measures, it doesn't always go over super well, but we were able to work with them and instill really a lot of the input about what they wanted out of their different departments and areas into those performance measurements, and actually show them that we could use it to advance their agendas, not just the agendas of the community.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Steve Ward. I represent Council District 4. I have the simplest question of the night. Tell us what you like the most about Inglewood.
Sorry.
What do you like most about Inglewood?
Yeah, I really like that Englewood, compared to, I most recently lived in Georgetown, and compared to Georgetown, people are a lot warmer here. You know, half of the people in Georgetown only live there 3 months a year. And so I really liked just how friendly and the sense of community, even going to events and stuff. I feel like here there are fewer cliques, and as somebody that's only lived in this community for a few months, I feel like I've already developed a great relationship with my neighbors and different folks around me.
Awesome, thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Mandel. My name is Rita Russell. I'm one of the at-large city council members. It's nice to have you here this evening. My question for you is, what would you like to see improved in Inglewood regarding either the Budget Advisory Committee or the Transportation Advisory?
Sure. For the most part, I think that there's been a lot of great work on your all's budget, and I think y'all have been doing a lot of great work around transportation, improving the streets. There are some things that I think could be better communicated around the budget, and I think that, of course, with transportation, there's always another layer of studies that can be done. But overall, I'd like to say I genuinely believe that on both fronts, y'all are doing pretty well. Specifically regarding the budget, I think there's some better communication to the public, and maybe just including some more graphics in like the budget overview, I think could be more approachable to people that don't work in government.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Tina Prang. I'm also a city council member at large. My question is around engagement and attendance. Do you see any roadblocks or barriers to regular attendance for the boards that you apply?
No, I live right up on Delaware. Y'all are about a 15-minute walk. And my Tuesdays are free for the foreseeable future.
Great, thank you.
Good evening, I'm Chelsea Camp, City Council Member for District 2. Thank you for being willing to invest back in your new community. If you were to be appointed to one of these boards, how do you think that your service might benefit you personally or professionally?
Yeah, well, I want to continue to work in local government, so certainly experience on either of these boards or committees would be helpful in my opinion. Transportation is an area that I am very interested in, and of course budgets as well. Also, admittedly, I've been watching these meetings and reading the materials anyways, so to me it might be a fallacy, but it seems like if I'm going to sink the time into that, I might as well put something on my resume for it. So, yeah.
That's great. Thank you.
Well, Mr. Mandel, you still have over 2 minutes left. Any questions that you happen to have for us?
I guess, not really, well, I guess I have a couple questions. For the different committees, how do you think the time investment would vary between them?
I guess I'll speak for ETAC. Transportation Advisory Committee, their meetings usually are about 2 hours long. I know there was a few times where they didn't meet over the summer just for lack of content to evaluate. That may be changing this coming year, just because I know that we've had citizens come and speak to us about making our city safer and more conducive to speed, or less conducive to speeding and that type of thing. So that may mean, we probably will be discussing that on Saturday, but I can see more things coming to ETAC this year.
And I'm sure if those projects along Broadway do end up
Right,
happening,
exactly, complete streets and things like that, yeah.
that could be a lot.
And Budget Advisory Committee, normal time frame for that?
It's generally a couple hours at the most. Sometimes it's not that much more, is it,
Yeah.
Steve?
5:15 to 6:30 typically on the third Tuesday, I think it is.
Well, today.
Yeah, today's the day.
Sure.
To be honest, I was less concerned with the duration of the meeting itself and more work outside of the meetings.
It's probably reading the packet.
Yeah.
I would think with the budget advisory, you'd be reading the information that is sent and making sure you do. I
Right.
call it homework, the pre-work ahead of time.
Yeah, I can't see more than a couple hours.
I don't know if it's still the same way now, but the Budget Advisory Committee submits a report to council every year as part of the budget process. That typically takes some time. There's some writing time, probably some meeting time outside of the meeting, subcommittees, really working on that and crafting. So in that kind of late summertime, there tends to be some extra time invested in that.
That's all really to be expected. I just wanted to make sure,
Yeah.
I would think with you following along with the meetings and already reading the materials, it would take you less time if you're familiar with the content that's been discussed and up to date on the topics at hand, so.
And can I ask just to confirm, budget advisory is your first choice?
Yes, I think so.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Mr. Mandel, thank you very much for making time for us tonight. We're going to be deliberating placement later on tonight. We'll make a final decision on Monday the 5th.
Sure.
And at that point, somebody from the city clerk's office will reach out to you about placement. But it's great to meet you, and thank you very much for making time.
It's very nice to meet all of you.
Yeah.
And if you have any follow-up questions or need any additional materials or references, I'm happy to provide those. Please just call me.
Yeah, you're a 15-minute walk away, so.
Yep.
Thank you for that offer.
Thank you, Mr. Mandel, and welcome to Inglewood.
Thank you.
My food still out. Thanks for that, Tom. Very much. All right, Cammie, Joel. Good evening. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing really well, thank you.
Is the last name pronounced Joel?
Jolie,
Jolie.
yes.
Well, good evening, Ms. Jolie. Thanks for making time for us tonight. I'm Nathaniel Sierra. I'm a council member for District 1 as well as mayor for the city. Ms. Jolie, pretty simple. We're going to be asking you 7 questions tonight. You'll have 10 minutes to answer those questions. At the 9-minute mark, I'll let you know that you're down to about a minute left. And then if there's any time remaining, feel free to ask us any questions that you have.
Oh, okay, great.
All right. Are you ready to begin?
I am.
All right, well, Ms. Jolie, my question for you is what motivates you to apply for an Inglewood Board or Commission at this time?
Sure, so that was my intent whenever I moved here in June of 2020, but we had a little thing like COVID
Something happened, yeah.
going on, so it wasn't the right time. And I also had some other professional priorities with the city and county of Denver, that's where I'm at right now, that kind of took precedence. So I saw the announcement come out again, and I said, I think it's the right time, so, yeah.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much.
Good evening, Ms. Jolie. I'm Joe Anderson, District 3 Representative,
Hi.
Mayor Pro Tem. Thanks for applying and coming out for the interview tonight. My question for you is what knowledge, skills, or abilities would you bring to the boards that you've applied for, the Water and Sewer Board, Parks and Rec Commission? And how would the city of Inglewood benefit from your service on one of those commissions?
Sure, absolutely. So my experience really is about 16 years with 10 years at the town of Breckenridge, where I was in the Public Works Department. Specifically, I supported the water division. So, and I'm going to kind of focus on the Water and Sewer Board here, but I think my government experience can kind of be related to parks as well. But so working for the water division, really kind of getting an understanding of all the complexities and the issues that come along with managing and maintaining water systems. Then fast forward to move down out of the mountains, came to the American Water Works Association. So I was with the association for 6 years. And that's where I really kind of like understood and appreciated not only water, but also sanitation, that side of the business as well. So true appreciation for that. I decided to go back and do municipal government work and went to the city and county of Denver, which is very different than the town of Breckenridge, as you can imagine. And so so now I'm the director of administration there. So my job comprises, I'm working with facility security as well as citywide contracts. And then also we pay, my team pays about $40 million worth of utility bills every year. So I kind of connect the dots between those three positions over the last, well, that would be actually 22 years, 16 years in municipal government and another 6 in nonprofit. And so I can kind of draw a line to show, how my career has progressed. And so, so I think my knowledge, experience, it all kind of goes to back up. I'm not a technical expert. I have folks on my team that are technical experts. But I think between contracts, physical security, my background in water, and my work at AWWA, that it would really bring a value to the community and to the board, I believe.
Yep, it sounds like the Water and Sewer Board would be your first
That's
choice.
my first choice, but I really do, I have a heart of service, and that's why I'm in municipal government. And so, if chosen to serve in a different capacity, I would certainly be open to that.
Okay,
Absolutely.
very good. Sounds like your experience would line up well with the Water and Sewer Board too, so
Yeah,
appreciate it.
thank you.
Hi there. I like your last name. It reminds me of a song.
Oh, nice. Let's hear it.
No,
I know.
No, we don't have time.
We will bring recording things here. My name's Kim Wright, and I'm one of the at-large council members. Can you please describe an experience in the past where you worked with a group of people that sometimes had opposing views and perspectives?
Yeah, that's kind of a day in the life of me, as you as well, in government. But in particular, my most recent experience and what I'm dealing with now, or what I'm doing now, I'm partially activated within the Emergency Operations Center. So I am the logistics chief. So I've been doing that since July 2023, when the new mayor came on board, and we had a grand initiative to house 1,100 homeless individuals. So that coincided as well with, as you all are aware, we're having a migrant crisis right now in Denver. And I think to date, we've served almost 40,000 individuals over the last 14 months, as well as we're housing about 4,000. So as part of that work, you can imagine there are extremely diverse, very strong opinions about how we should be managing this. We have the directive from our mayor, and respectfully, we all understand that directive and that vision and support it. But there are a lot of different ways to get there. And so every day we're having hard conversations about how to support that how to show up, what are the tough cuts and decisions that you have to make on a daily basis to really support this humanitarian crisis that we're in. And the migrant crisis, I've been involved with that for the past 14 months. So yeah, it's a lot of diverse opinions there, but I have a heart of service, so we're doing the right thing. It's just having some really tough conversations. And as long as we're moving forward, I guess to really answer the question, I'm okay with having differing opinions and that, but we have to keep the conversation moving forward, and there has to be progress. You know, if we're not moving forward, then I think we need to kind of step back and reassess and go, okay, do we have the right people in the room having the conversation?
Great, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hi, I'm Steve Ward. I represent Council District 4. And my question for you is, what do you like most about Inglewood?
Oh, so Inglewood is a very diverse and kind of eclectic group of neighborhoods, I would say. And, you know, just in the few years that I've been in my neighborhood and in my home, I have a brand new, very young couple that moved in to the north of me. And then I also have the woman living next to me that's been there for almost 40 years. And so it's really interesting to see the dynamic of the neighborhood. And I live in District 2 and Old Town there. So it's really very interesting. You know, I love it for the convenience of obviously being close to Denver and to where I work, but it's so interesting. And I walk through the neighborhood like every day, and everybody knows my dog, but they don't know my name, you know, but they know Charlie. And so it's just kind of, you know, it's big enough that it still feels small, I guess.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Good evening, Ms. Jolie. I'm Rita Russell. I'm one of the council members at large. And I have a question for you. My question is, what would you like to see improved in Inglewood regarding the boards and commissions you apply to?
Sure. So I'm not sure that I initially had an improvement per se. You know, I think getting to understand all of the work and the projects and the kind of behind the scenes what's going on is the most important piece of engaging with a new group that you haven't been engaged with. So, you know, I would think that would be kind of priority one. But I think for me, it's looking at projects and knowing the limitations of our resources. I deal with that every single day and having to make hard decisions. It's looking at these projects, maybe contracts, you know, whatever that is brought to the board, and asking questions to be, are we being fiscally responsible right now? Because I know we only have a set amount of resources. So are we doing our homework? Are we asking the right questions? Are we also, if we're putting in, and I know that there's a lot of infrastructure and things that we need to do from a water and sanitation standpoint, there always is, but are we also looking on the other end operationally? Are we going to be able to operate that and sustain that operation? Those are the kinds of things that I'm thinking of now, not necessarily I need to improve anything, because I think that the board is probably doing a great job now. But how can my perspective help in that?
Absolutely, that's great. I have another question for you, but I'll
We
wait
have
till.
about 20 seconds, so I think Mills would just ask the question.
Okay.
So my other question.
Sorry, I
for you is,
rambled.
How closely do you work with the Denver Water and Sewer Board?
I don't specifically work with that board closely at all. Dottie does a lot of direct. My division and my office actually works very closely with Excel.
Okay. All right, I appreciate that,
Yeah.
because my concern would be a conflict of interest in working with our water.
No,
and sewer board.
that's really on the Dottie side.
Okay.
Dottie, Department of Transportation Infrastructure.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah,
Perfect, appreciate
thank you.
that.
Well, Ms. Jolie, thank you very much for making time for us tonight. I know we didn't get through all the questions, but definitely a lot of information. Obviously, you're very fit to serve in our community or within any of the boards. We're going to deliberate tonight in terms of just potential placements. We'll make a final decision on Monday the 5th. And at that point, somebody from the city clerk's office will reach out to you and let you know about placement. But it was great to meet you, and thank you very much for making time for us tonight.
Thank you, everyone, I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Good evening.
Good evening.
How you doing, Ms. Hammer?
Good, how are you guys?
We're doing well. Thanks for making time for us tonight.
Yeah.
So, Ms. Hammer, I'm Nathaniel Sierra. I'm a council member for District 1 as well as mayor for the city. We're going to be asking you 7 questions tonight. You'll have 10 minutes to answer those 7 questions. At the 9-minute mark, I'll try to remind you that you have a minute left. And then if there's any additional time remaining, then you can ask any questions of this council. So, all right. So, Ms. Hammer, you ready to begin?
Yes.
All right, my first question for you is what motivates you to apply for an Inglewood board at this time?
I've been an Inglewood resident for about 3 years. I've been renting and just signed another lease for, I'm moving from an ADU unit to the main house. So it worked out that I'll be moving in there this week. And I currently work for Arapahoe County as a senior planner. I've been doing that for 6 years. I just had my anniversary. And I present to planning commissions, primarily in city council. So I'm very familiar with land use cases. I do current case review, some code changes. I'm working on some of the code changes there too. So I'm very familiar with land use planning. I did apply for either the planning commission or the Parks and Rec. My boss, or I guess my supervisor, kind of gave me the heads up that there's some openings, and he's like, he sits on Littleton Planning Commission, and he's like, you know, you could fulfill your dream of being Leslie Knope, or else you could, you know, sit and see different planning commission and different cases from a different perspective. So I haven't had much involvement in the city, but I do frequent the parks by my house, and I guess my line of work, I'm looking to get more involved in the community and that I live in.
Do you want to be the Leslie Nopes and be in Parks and Rec first, or planning and zoning? Your secondary.
Yeah, mostly because I have planning commissions on the first and third Tuesdays of the month, so the schedule works better with the Parks Commission, and it would be a new perspective. I work with open space, Arapahoe County Open Space, but they're a separate division, so I'm not very familiar with parks planning, except for reviewing location and extents.
Sounds great. Thank you, Ms. Hammer.
Ms. Hammer, I'm Joe Anderson, District 3 Council Representative as well as the Mayor Pro Tem. It sounds like, are you saying that you would not be able to do the planning and zoning commissions? Is that are you conflicted on time?
So I'm only, when I don't have to.
Occasionally?
I don't have to sit on every meeting that they hold. I just have to prepare my cases. So it could go either way. Some months I go to both planning commissions. There could be 2 months where I don't see the planning commission.
Okay. My question for you is what knowledge, skills, or abilities do you bring to either the planning and zoning or to the Parks and Rec Commission, and how would you have a positive benefit from your service on one of those commissions?
Yeah, I think I have the technical skills from my education and my background, and I feel I'm very confident when I'm public speaking to a board and commission. So I think I could use my communication skills to reflect the city's goals and views while sitting on a commission. I also think my education and my background with the county is a little bit different in a city. I worked at a small city in Minnesota for about 6 to 8 months before I came out here. It was a bedroom community of a suburb, but it had a main street, a central business district. So I think I could take a look at my days planning there and bring some of that expertise.
Very good, thank you.
Hi there, how are you?
Hi.
My name's Kim Wright, and I'm one of the at-large council members. I have one quick question. You said, well, I have 2 actually. You said you work with the Arapahoe County Open Space. Do you have anything to do with their grants at all?
With their what?
Their grants, when people apply from other cities for grants?
No, we don't really get involved. The most I work with them is, yeah, they're submitting applications to us. for trailheads or something that already has funding and they just need.
Okay, yeah, because I know the city applies to rep out, so I was concerned about that. Okay. Can you please describe an experience in which you were working with a group of people that sometimes had opposing views and perspectives?
Yeah, I have a lot of experiences, but I was thinking about one that's short and one that, one of my most controversial cases was for a parking lot for Comcast. And it went through, but then the neighbors got public notice and they didn't want the area where the prairie dogs play. And they wanted it to be turned into a park instead of developed, and it was an I-2 piece of property. So we worked really hard with Comcast and some of their very up high elites, me and the engineer, for about a year and a half. We didn't have any ordinances for prairie dogs, so we were telling, the public that CPW, you can't just move prairie dogs because half of Arapahoe County thinks they're cute and the other half out east think they're not cute. So we worked with them. There was probably a boardroom full of prairie dog activists, some Canadian geese activists, and we listened to like 2 hours of public testimony, and I got probably 50, 60 emails that I was just responding to and trying to make sure that the residents were heard, get the facts on the table that we don't have regulations against this, but we'll work with CPW, and if the applicant can find somewhere for them dogs to be relocated, we'll require them to do that or dispose of them in a more humane way than just kind of shoveling the site. So a lot of testimony, making sure that people were being heard, but also finding a solution. 2 years later, they got it approved, and then they said, oh, we're not going to do that anymore.
Oh,
So, thank you. Thank you for that.
Job security, I guess.
Yeah, right?
Thank you.
Wow. There are a few things I like less than doing something for nothing. I'm Steve Ward.
Thank you for
I
volunteering.
I represent Council District 4, and my question for you is, what do you like most about Inglewood?
I really do enjoy the downtown, the central business district. It's beautiful during Christmas. I frequent the parks near my neighborhood. I like that there's pocket parks in, smaller neighborhoods with smaller homes, not big giant homes like you see like in the Highlands of Denver and stuff. And I thought it was very interesting that you guys have the third largest population of millennials in Denver. I was like, I didn't know about that until I started doing some research. So I really think I like the tight community, the gridlock system, big fan of that.
Awesome, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Good evening, Ms. Hammer. My name is Rita Russell, and I'm one of the at-large council members. My question for you is, what would you like to see improved in Inglewood, especially on the boards and commissions that you're interested in serving on?
So this was a tough question for me because I haven't really been involved in Inglewood, and I will put that on the table like I already have. But I want to be able to provide my perspective from being a younger professional in the field. I'm interested in Parks and Rec. I haven't really done much. Understanding the funding better, where the money's going and how it's being sent is something that I want to better understand and provide my input.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Good evening, Ms. Hammer. I'm Tina Prang. I'm also a council member at large. My question is around attendance and engagement. Do you see any roadblocks or barriers to regular attendance or engagement in either one of these groups?
The Planning Commission, as I talked about earlier, I do have that prior obligation to my full-time job, and that meeting does happen on the days that it seems like the Planning Commission in Inglewood meets.
Okay.
So that's why I put Parks and Rec as my first, preference, because the schedule would work out a lot better for me.
So you see probably a semi-regular conflict with planning and zoning?
Yeah, I don't want to lie, but if it comes
Yeah,
up,
no, that's-
yeah, I'm like,
It's great.
yeah.
That we
I don't
don't want
wanna
to place
not
you
show up.
somewhere that you're not going to
Yeah.
be effective, and it seems like you really want to serve, so. Thank you.
Hey there, I'm Chelsea Camp, District 2 City Council member. You mentioned this a little bit already, but if you were to be appointed to one of these commissions, can you share a little bit more about how you think it would benefit you personally or professionally?
Yeah, personally, I would be more involved and have a better understanding of where I'm living in the community I'm living in and what's going on at a larger political, I guess, level than I see Inglewood in Arapahoe County because you guys are incorporated. So we hear about Inglewood at my profession, but not very often. So, and to meet more people in the community to better understand what people's concerns are, what the city's main concerns are, whether they be short-term concerns or concerns that have been, happening for a number of years or decades. So just a better understanding of the community I live in and the people I'm living around.
So Ms. Hammer, you have about 30 seconds left. Any questions for us?
Did you guys, any of you all serve on a board or commission before you were on city council?
I did not, but some of you, go ahead.
Member Ward and I both served on the Budget Advisory Committee.
Okay.
I think it's an incredible opportunity to really understand the inner workings of the city and to get to meet more of our city staff who are wonderful, see the projects that we're working on. As you know, in local government, a lot of things happen over years, not months. And so to be able to track big projects and have input on those things, I think is really meaningful.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I don't have any.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure thing.
Would you consider serving another board or commission if asked?
Yeah, I would consider it if there was no conflict. Depending on what board you guys asked me to serve, I would take that into consideration.
Okay.
Yeah.
So tonight we'll deliberate. If it did come to not being able to get you into partial record or planning and zoning, city clerk will reach out to you and say, would you have interest in this board? At that point, you can say yes or no, depending on whether or not you feel you can be an asset there. But Ms. Hammer, thanks for making time. Like I said, we'll deliberate tonight. We'll do final placement on Monday the 5th. And then at that point, somebody from the city clerk's office will reach out to you.
Okay, sounds great. Thank you for your time.
It was great to meet you, Ms. Hammer.
Nice to meet you as well.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Our next two are online.
Okay. So that was Ms. Hammer, so it's Jenna. Olds. How do you pronounce her last name?
Not sure about the last.
Okay.
Okay. Jenna, you can unmute.
You actually got it. Ozels is correct. Way to go.
Hey, perfect. Good evening. How you doing, Ms. Ozels?
I'm doing very well. How are all of you?
Doing well. Thank you very much for making time for us tonight.
Yes, thanks for having me online. I'm out of the country, so I appreciate your flexibility.
Oh, wow. All right. Well, Ms. Ozels, thank you very much. My name's Nathaniel Sarah. I'm council member for District 1. I'm also mayor for the city. Ms. Ozels, we'll be asking you 7 questions. You'll have 10 minutes to answer those questions. At the 9-minute mark, I'll let you know that you're down to about a minute left. And if there's any time remaining, then you can ask any questions of us. So,
sounds
ready
great.
to begin?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So, Ms. Ozels, my question for you is, what motivates you to apply for an Inglewood board at this time?
So I've been involved in local community politics and municipal government all the way back from 2007. I first got involved in the city of Aurora. I remember sitting in a city council meeting and being absolutely riveted by a very strong conversation around where a stop sign should be placed. And I realized that I had a weird sickness about me and really loved municipal politics in that moment. And I've also served, when I lived in the city of Denver, I also served on board and commission in the city. And I really enjoyed doing that work. And now that I have been a resident of Inglewood for the past 3 years, I'm incredibly happy to call this city home and just really love the neighborhoods and the community. And I want to be a part of making a city that I really like even better and an even more welcoming place to live.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Ms. Ozels.
Good evening, Ms. Ozels. Can you see me? I don't even know.
I can see you now. Hi.
I'm over here. I'll ask my question by looking around the corner at you here.
You're very kind.
So, I'm Joe Anderson, District 3 Council Member and Mayor Pro Tem for the city. My question for you is what knowledge, skills, or abilities would you bring to the board and commissions that you've applied for, which it looks like is Planning and Zoning or Board of Adjustment Appeals? And how would Inglewood benefit from your service on one of those boards?
To be perfectly honest, I don't have a lot of planning and zoning direct experience outside of some policy work that I did about maybe 10 years ago around some clinic zoning issues in the city of Denver, where we were working with some local business owners and local property owners around where a new reproductive health clinic would be able to go within the city of Denver. And I just really enjoyed the conversation around kind of how zoning impacted this particular landowner's usage of his space and how, he decided how to use it and how that worked and interacted with the city. I just thought that it was absolutely fascinating. I also think given that Inglewood as a suburb of such a large city like Denver and seeing this influx of people coming in, I think that planning and zoning is going to be a very, very hot topic in the city of Inglewood for the next several years. And I want to be right in the thick of it. I like to be in the thick of some of the most interesting conversations. That's where I always like to be. And I think that planning and kind of figuring out where things go and how our city works for the people that live there is a fascinating thing to do. As far as experience around boards and commissions, I did serve as I mentioned, in the city of Denver. I was an appointee of Clerk Lopez to it was two different committees, the Charter Review Commission and then I think it was called the Ballot Review Committee as well. And so that was a 2-year-long commitment and got to work with the city council there, take public input, work with different advocacy groups to kind of bring forward their issues to that committee. And I loved every minute of it.
Very good, thank you.
Thanks.
Hi there, and I said your name originally, Ozos, correct?
Yes, perfect.
Great. My name is Kim Wright, and I'm one of the at-large council members. Please describe an experience in the past which you were working with a group of people that sometimes had opposing views and perspectives.
Oh, I could write a novel. I've been doing political advocacy work in various capacities for about 10 years. So I think the first one I think I can go right to was actually that reproductive healthcare zoning issue was a perfect example where we had a business owner who was willing to lease out a space and until he discovered what that space was going to be used for, and then he decided that he didn't want to use that space anymore. And so part of the conversation that we had was around how do we balance between the right of the landowner, the right of the city, the right of the leasing tenant, and the right of the community of what resources that they actually need? How do we marry all of those things together? Because everybody has stake in this conversation. Everyone has a justifiable position that they're in this spot, and we have to come to an agreement. And so part of what we did there was to really make sure that obviously we were treating people with the respect of the position that they were coming from, whether I agreed with them or not. In order to actually connect with another person, you have to try to understand where they're coming from. And so I think one of the things that we were able to do to move that issue forward and actually get a clinic placed within this particular location was to spend a lot of time having conversations where we were really hearing everyone out and making sure that they knew that they were not being run over, that they were being heard, that their perspectives were being taken into account so that everybody kind of got a win by the end of the process.
Great, thank you.
Good evening, I'm Steve Ward, I represent Council District 4, and my question for you is what do you like the most about Inglewood?
The people, honestly, and just I love all of the older homes in Inglewood. I really like just the feel of this community. It even though it is a urban area. It is very metropolitan in a lot of ways. It still feels like a small community, which I don't think is something that you really get in a lot of metro areas, especially in the city of Denver, the metro area of Denver. Growing up in Aurora, Aurora has always been my hometown, but it always felt so big that it was easy to kind of get lost in it. And Inglewood is, while a sizable city, while a thriving, area, it still feels, because of those homes and the way that we build things up and the way that our community kind of is, it still feels very small and close knit. And I think that is such a rare thing to find in a state of 7 million people, let alone a metro area of 5 and something.
Good evening, Ms. Ozels. My name is Rita Russell. I'm one of the at-large council members. And my question for you is, what would you like to see improved in Inglewood regarding the boards and commissions you applied for?
I think as far as planning and zoning goes, I do think that one of the reasons why I was most interested in this was because I do think that we need to start very thoughtfully tackling this issue around housing. I think that we can both be loving of older homes, and we can also be recognizing that Inglewood is an incredible thoroughfare to get to work for a lot of people and a lot of young families that move into Inglewood because they can afford to live there. The taxes are better than Denver. It's more affordable. It's safe. And I think that if we're going to continue to grow Inglewood in the way that it deserves, we're going to need that thoughtful approach to housing.
Okay, thank you.
I'm gonna come over here so you can see a face.
Thank you.
I'm Tina Prang. I'm also a city council member at large. And my question is around engagement and attendance. Do you see any barriers or roadblocks to regular attendance or engagement with the two groups that you've applied for?
I do not. I signed up for, I believe, a few more than that as well, because when I was applying, I own my own business, and so I was not really sure what my schedule would look like for this year. So I kind of wanted to just put in, here are the things I'm interested in, and based on the scheduling, what that might look like. But 1 to 2 meetings a month, so long as I know when they're coming up, is usually never going to be too much of an issue. I might have some times where, say, I might have to call in like this, but this is the first vacation I've taken in 4 years, so it was pretty rare that I was actually gone during something like this. But if I know that something's coming up and it's a priority to me, I make sure to block out the time for it.
Okay, great. Thank you. Enjoy your vacation as well.
Thank you.
Hi there. Oh, you can almost see me. I'm Chelsea Newton-Camp. I'm your city council member in District 2. Thank you so much for being willing to reinvest in your community. I'm curious, if you were to be appointed to one of these boards and commissions, how do you think it would serve you, either personally or professionally?
I think it would serve me in many, many ways. I think that the very first thing that comes up is just getting to learn how a different city operates. I'm sorry, my thing just fell out of my ear. But I think in getting to learn how your community really operates and how things interact with each other, I know that makes me feel like a stronger member of my community, and it makes me feel like I'm more at home if I'm actually participating. And so I think not only would it help me professionally, of course, but just personally, I would feel even better on a moral and personal level to be even more invested in my home.
Wonderful, thank you.
So Ms. Ozels, thank you very much for your time tonight. So I may be wrong here, but I only see 2 boards under your name.
Oh, my mistake.
Planning and Zoning and Board and Adjustment and Appeals. Are there any other ones? You're open to other boards?
I am open to other boards. I think just depending on the timing would be the main thing.
Okay.
And Ms. Ozels, can you confirm, how long have you lived in the city?
Since 2020.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
All right. Well, Ms. Ozels, thank you very much for your time tonight. We're going to be deliberating placements tonight. We'll make a final decision on Monday the 5th. At that point, somebody from the city clerk's office will be reaching out to you about final placement. So
okay.
Thank you again for making time for us, especially on your vacation and your willingness to serve the city. So Hope you have a
Thank
great evening.
And we're
Yes.
all jealous.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Ms. Ozols.
You should be. It's pretty nice. All right. Thank you again. I really appreciate it. You making the Zoom exception for me. Have a great
Yeah,
night.
of course. Thank you. Bye-bye. All right, and we have Stephen Ruddle Lopez. Stephen, can you hear us?
I can. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Good.
There we go. We see you now. Perfect.
Good.
Well, Mr. Ruddle Lopez, thank you very much for making time for us tonight. My name's Othaniel Sierra. I'm council member for District 1 as well as mayor for the city. Mr. Ruddle Lopez, we'll be asking you 7 questions. You'll have 10 minutes to answer those questions. At the 9-minute mark, I'll let you know that you're down to a minute, and if there's any time remaining, you can ask any questions of this council. So, are you ready to begin?
Yes, sir.
Perfect. So, my question for you is, what led you to apply for an Inglewood board at this time?
Well, I actually got the honor of meeting you and a couple of people on the team there at the Elevate Englewood class of last year. And it was a great experience. I moved to Englewood in 2018 to take care of my dad. And so I was trying to find a way to get involved in the community. And so after Elevate Englewood, I got the notice about the boards coming available. I was like, oh, this seems like a next step for me.
So good timing. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
Good evening, Mr. Ruddle Lopez. I'm Joe Anderson, council member representing District 3 and Mayor Pro Tem. My question for you tonight is what knowledge, skills, or abilities would you bring to the board and commissions that you've applied for, which looks like is the Planning and Zoning and Code Enforcement Advisory Committee, and how would Inglewood benefit from your service on one of those boards?
Yeah, sure. Good evening. I actually participated in a board in San Luis Obispo County in California, in the zoning part. During the time I was actually remodeling one of the homes that my parents owned out there before they transitioned to Englewood. So I have that experience, and then have a small, I'd say, family construction company over 40 years or so that we played with, where we've had a couple of properties and worked on them. So I think it's important and a way for me to learn also about codes in Colorado, understand the building process. And the other reason I was interested in this is there's a huge housing crisis in Colorado and obviously in the big cities. So I think it's important for people like myself. I actually now bought my parents' home, and to be involved in the community because we can be part of the decision-making process to solve these kind of crises that affects all of us.
Very good, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Good evening. I don't know if you could see me. Oh, there I am.
Yep, I can see you.
Please describe an experience where you were working with a group of people that sometimes had opposing views and perspectives.
Sure. I currently work for a nonprofit, and we're basically a subcontractor for the state of Colorado. And we recently had a program in Durango, Colorado, where we went in and we support entrepreneurship and provide seed capital for local entrepreneurs. And there was a big pushback because they always feel that people from the central government come in and from Denver and want to show them the way, and they don't understand what all the, I'd say, joys and concerns of the rural communities are. So I basically sat and just listened to them for 2 hours, and they were very impressed that somebody from Denver had the time to listen and took notes. And then I went back and gave them a proposal based on what their local needs were and adapted it to what they were asking. Obviously, I had my own requirements that I had to fulfill, but we were able to come to an agreement on how to work this out.
Great. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
I am Steve Ward. I represent Council District 4. And my question for you is, what do you like most about Inglewood?
Geez, I moved in 2018 from California, as I mentioned before, and it's just been a great. It's great to see the different types of buildings. I have, after actually Elevate Inglewood, I volunteer also at Cafe 180 once a month, and I think it's an amazing project. I always talk about it in my work. I've actually have gotten a couple colleagues to come and volunteer with me. So I think overall it's a great community. It definitely serves as a room and board, I'd say, for people that work in downtown or maybe towards Castle Rock area and so forth. I've just enjoyed getting to know the city, been to the volunteer cleanup park days and so forth. So I definitely have gotten to get to know different areas of town.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Rudell Lopez. My name is Rita Russell. I'm one of the at-large council members for the city of Inglewood. And my question for you is, what would you like to see improved in Inglewood regarding the boards and commissions you applied to?
I think there's a real need in terms of making educated decisions on housing. I feel that, for example, there are a few places where they've torn down older homes and put in, I don't know if they call them condos, but it just seems like they're one after another. So I think sometimes, unfortunately, due to the amazing prices of housing, builders tend to take advantage of that and cram things in. And so I think being on these commissions and understanding how these processes work also would help in the long-term development of the city, because I think there's going to be, if we keep doing things the way we're doing, we're going to have issues with the roads and traffic and all sorts of fun stuff that I remember we dealt with in California.
All right, thank you. And was code enforcement your other choice besides planning and zoning?
Yes.
Okay, and do you have a preference for either one?
No, I'm flexible. I just want to be able to give back to the community. So
okay, thank you very much.
Both work for me. Mm-hmm.
Good evening, I'm Tina Prang. I'm also a city council member at large, and my question is around attendance and engagement. Do you see any barriers or roadblocks to you having regular attendance or engagement with the two groups that you applied?
No, I work from home. So that's I have a very flexible schedule. I take care of my both parents. I'm very proud to say that they're turning 81 this year, so I think I'm doing a good job. So besides that, I'm pretty free, and I also volunteer for Rotary, so I have that commitment. But that's only once a month, and it's via Zoom. So that's how I keep myself busy.
Thank you. Hi there, I'm Chelsea Newton-Camp,
Hello.
City Council Member for District 2. Thank you for being involved in the community and being willing to invest back into Inglewood. I'd love to hear how you think, if you were to serve on one of these boards or commissions, how it might benefit you, either personally or professionally.
Well, I'm definitely growing in my career as a manager and looking at other opportunities. So being on boards as I am on Rotary and applied to this one, I think that gives me some further background and experience for these other roles that I want to develop into my professional career. Also, I think I've lived overseas for 20 years-ish. So I have a different view of things about how things are done outside of the US. So I think that's also interesting to bring back that feedback and be like, hey, you know what? I saw this type of planning or zoning other areas. Maybe we should look into it. So it's especially because more and more, I think Englewood is turning into a melting pot, and with this whole influx of immigrants that we're having too. At some point, we'll get a few of them too.
Great.
More than Aurora, probably.
Thank you.
Well, Mr. Rudelo Lopez, you have about a minute left. Any question for us?
Yeah, this is a challenging question. What do you think the weakness of the boards is, or one weakness?
Oh, man, you're not going to get a answer. Honestly, it's like I don't see any weakness in the boards or the members overall. I'm pretty happy with the way that the boards work. Yeah, so I guess I don't really have anything to add there. Anybody have anything to add? I think the difficulty is just with our process potentially, so it has nothing to do with the boards itself. But how do you get that information to city council? At times can get lost.
Right, more of an admin process.
That to me is probably like the area that we have to work on, but that's more with us, not necessarily with the board.
And may I ask you an additional question, please? You said
Yes,
that
sure.
you attend Rotary meetings via Zoom. What night is that?
It varies, but usually I'd have to look at my calendar, but let me check here what when it is here. Give me a second.
And that's okay. And it says, I'm looking at the form that you filled out. How often do you have to travel for work?
Actually, my role just changed this last week. So that traveling has been completed. I was traveling quite a bit because I was in charge of 6 programs in rural Colorado.
Oh, wow.
But that has now changed, and I just get to be in Denver more often.
Okay, so you're no longer traveling then?
Mm-mm.
Or it's limited?
All right, any other questions? I think we're good.
Nope.
So, Mr. Rudel Lopez, thank you very much for your time tonight. We're going to be deliberating right now, right after this call. You are our final speaker for the night. We'll make the ultimate decision on Monday the 5th. And at that point, somebody from the city clerk's office will reach out to you about placement. But thank you very much for making time for us tonight. Yeah, and your willingness to serve. Another
Great,
thing
thank you all.
So, thank you so much.
All right, have a good evening.
Have a good night.
You too.
Okay, bye-bye.
All right, everyone. That is everyone. So do you want to just take a quick break just so I can get my bearings, and then about 5 minutes, and then we can kind of just start deliberating? Get my bearings. Well, I got all these sheets of paper from the previous night, and then we get some additional ones tonight, so.
It's complicated. It's a puzzle.
It is a puzzle.
I called Stephanie and then Jackie called me back. One of them
Pulled out?
One of them was applying thought they were applying for the housing authority to get housing.
Oh.
And then another one, that there was 2 of them.
Like Amy Cesario applied for P&Z, but she wasn't on.
She was not able to make it.
Yes.
So she reached out and she had.
Traveling for
It's
work
just
or
confusing.
something
Traveling
like
for
that.
work, yeah.
Traveling for work.
Even when they're on some lists but not other
Yeah.
lists. and
So
it's-
there was another one. Oh, this heiress. That heiress for the Inglewood Housing Authority.
Okay.
She's the one that thought she was applying for housing.
Oh, thanks, Kim.
So, yeah, I'm like, where are these people? We're missing a bunch of people. And then, what did I do? You've got paperwork, I've got paperwork. Where's the notes from this?
Well, that's right.
Because I was going to like the arrows.
ARIS, ARIS. Right under,
Yeah, it was
Oh, are you
the
looking at last night's?
Inglewood Housing Authority.
I'm looking at last night's, so maybe reference to a new version.
So I think I'm gonna take some of that for you.
You want some coffee?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so from last night, Daniel? Okay.
Oh, yeah, please. Go
Okay,
ahead.
this is tonight. Hang on,
So
let me-
tonight there were more people like Gina, Gina Ozels, that she wanted to be on more boards. Steven said he was.
Yeah, let me find, I've had,
It's gotta be hard.
So we did not meet with an end goal, right?
Anne,
I have this,
Upcoming topic.
I have her on here, but don't read.
Like, oh, I want one here, or I want this person, you know, you kind of like, because there's all the first and second choices.
oftentimes when I
So you're
roll
always
in the
like,
morning, I do some
they
big
do
smile.
better years, you're always like playing puzzle pieces.
okay, there we go. So from yesterday, Carolina was cultural arts only.
Cultural arts only, yeah.
Linda, Hart,
She was open to others, right?
didn't ask, I didn't,
Oh, I thought,
I
I think
believe,
she would be.
I
I
thought she
believe
said
she would be. Linda Hart, code enforcement. At Catherine Servabant,
Yeah.
Parks and Rec. Lynn Peterson. Oh gosh, it was Housing Authority and then Cultural Arts.
Yeah, and she she switched them around. So she wanted to be on cultural arts, and then second was housing authority.
Yeah, she said she preferred cultural
Yeah.
arts, but.
Yes, that was her number, Cultural Arts was her number one.
Okay.
And did Cassandra
Okay,
Michael
and
withdraw?
then,
She was not able. She was the one that got strap and wasn't able to.
okay, so Eric Johnson, Budget Advisory, then Code Enforcement.
Yep.
Eric PNZ,
Eric Montel.
yeah.
Was he open to other boards?
I
I can't recall if we asked.
He wanted PNZ.
Okay.
Noah,
Noah. Yep.
it's transportation first,
Yep.
PNZ 2. Okay, here was Jacob. Housing Authority was number 1,
Jacob.
yes. So,
Oh, that's right. He was.
so Housing Authority was number 1. Transportation was number 2, and Library was number 3.
Library.
Mhm.
See, that's so weird. I have him under E-Tech on my sheet, so he didn't want that. He wanted library.
No, transportation to second choice.
Yeah, Transportation was 2. Yeah, and Library Board was 3.
No, I don't have him on.
The library board, there's nothing to do.
I don't know.
Oh, we
This
don't
is what
reappoint
he's-
us, we don't have any.
They're all
appointments.
reappointments.
All reappointments.
Yeah. Okay, then Chris.
Lambert.
Production Critter. Budget.
Oh,
Advi-
yeah.
Budget Advisory was number 1.
Yep.
Parks and Rec were number 2.
Yep.
Adam Cox,
Housing Authority.
Housing Authority.
Although he was open to others, though. Wasn't
He
he?
didn't know, he
Real
just
Real
wanted to,
estate.
yeah, he just wanted to sell. I don't know how many times he said his brain.
I didn't, yeah, I'm not sure I heard him say that he was open to.
Oh, okay.
It was Laura Herrera.
Yep.
Cultural Arts, she did say she is open to others. Gary, he didn't say what order, Board of Adjustments, P&Z, and then water and
Water,
sewer. And then, Elizabeth Shaw, sustainability was her priority, and then Parks and Rec.
Okay.
And then, Chris Lambert, Parks and Rec. That's what I have
Okay.
yesterday.
Perfect. And then today, we basically got that as well. All right, cool. Everyone in here? Yeah. All right, perfect. So I guess I'm always impressed by the people that interview for some of these open positions. Same over the past couple of days. So I know that we're gonna have some very difficult decisions because I don't think we have placement for everyone, especially for their first choices and maybe not even for their second choices. But we'll try the best that we can. We'll start off with the easier part, I would hope so, but the reappointments, anybody have any concerns about elevating from alternate to regular any of the names. I'm fine as is, but
Are you saying for all boards right now?
for the all boards, yeah.
So are you talking about the alternate to regular?
Yeah, alternates to regular, yeah.
So that would be Marjan and Colleen?
No, it'd just be everyone. So it'd be Andy, Brenda, Christine, Travis.
Right, alternate to regular and reappointments.
And
People whose
reappointments.
terms-
Oh, I
Sorry,
gotcha.
yeah.
I misunderstood you, I'm
Okay.
sorry.
You're right, yeah, because I just see that they have Colleen and Marjan is just alternate to
Okay,
regular.
I gotcha.
But no, yeah, these would be reappointments to existing.
So, and to clarify, and I think so I understand, since this is my first run at this, and I think the library would probably, whatever it is.
Yeah, so
So
that
the
would,
reappointments would be on here also, right?
yeah, so like if we look at the public library board, if we were to allow everybody to just reappoint, there would be no open positions left. So all 5 of those reappointments would go back as regular members.
Okay, okay.
And then I'm looking at planning and zoning, it looks like there's only 1 there. Brenda's the only reappointment, which means that there would only be 2 regular members and an alternate member if we were to.
Okay, that's what I needed to clarify to make sure that the reappointment isn't,
Yeah,
so it takes, whoever's reappointed or elevated, they take a space.
right,
Okay.
okay. Any disagreement there? Everyone fine with it? All right, perfect. So then I guess we'll just open it up to just open feedback in terms of anybody for any positions.
Could I suggest knocking out a few of the ones where there are?
Yeah, I was gonna suggest.
So like water and sewer board, that's an easy one, sustainability commission.
Yeah.
2 applications, 2, I think, like water and sewer board, I would say all
Okay.
3 of those. I mean, we've already, I guess, 2 of them, so that's Cammie Jolie would be the only
Yep.
appointee there. to
Great
be open.
addition.
Well, can I ask something also?
Sure.
Because I believe it's in, and I would have to make sure, where is it that people have to live here for a year? Or I firmly believe that we need to look at some of these people that applied that have lived in Inglewood for a little while opposed to 4 months on some of these.
So the only, and Sergio, just correct me if I'm wrong, I think the only boards that require at least a year of living in the city are planning and zoning,
Board of
Board of Adjustment and Appeals, I always get that one wrong. And maybe water and sewer, I think those are the 3. Go ahead.
Water and sewer requires you to be a qualified elector, but no
Oh, okay.
residency term. So you have to live in Inglewood, but not necessarily for a long time.
Okay.
And yes, but you're
Regardless.
correct. Planning, zoning, Board of Adjustment and Appeals definitely requires at least 1 year prior residence. So
Any others?
I will have to look.
Okay, and
I was just saying Cammie's been here for 3 years regardless, so wouldn't be an issue either way for water. and
Yeah.
sewer.
So
right.
did anyone confirm that Cammie is registered to vote?
I don't think that that's a requirement. You have to be
Yeah.
qualified.
I
be
thought,
to live here.
he just said a registered elector,
Qualified.
qualified elector.
or qualified, I'm sorry.
So what does that mean?
Without technical definition off the top of my head, that you're able to vote within the city.
Okay.
So that eliminates Cammie Jolie from the other, from Parks and Rec was her other.
Yeah, but, yeah,
I'm just saying if we.
but that was her preference though, so
Her
yeah,
preference
okay.
was water and sewer. So.
So we're knocking out water and sewer board, that's complete.
Sustainability commission. Knock that one out, that's Elizabeth Shaw would be the new appointee there. I don't think she was interested in anything else.
I don't think so. I didn't write it down if she did. I didn't hear her name called.
And then historic preservation commission.
Yep.
That's Joseph Regola,
Mm-hmm.
easy appointment there.
Hold on, Joseph. Yeah, anybody have any issues with Joseph? No? All right, and then let's see if there's any other.
library board is knocked out, so.
Yep.
Those are all, and that takes Joseph Fergola out of the running for.
Okay, so just marking down names for some of the other ones that are reappointments. All right. Anyone else have anything to add about any possible placements for any of the applicants?
I think the other easier ones are budget advisory committee, where you have multiple applicants for one slot, so.
Budget advisory.
All right, that's gonna be a tough one, because I liked all three of them for budget advisory. I was really impressed with Nevin tonight.
Yeah, but he's been here 4 months.
He's been here 4 months. Eric Johnson.
That matters though. Let's just actually talk about that.
Yeah, with some of them, none of them, one of them's been 3 months and the other one 8 months.
Yeah, they,
What do you mean, Nevin, Eric, and
all
Chris?
budget advisory has been here for a long time.
But I think, one thing that I think about the budget advisory, I was really impressed with Nevin.
I
this
agree.
evening Also, because of his budget experience and the direction he's really going for this line.
Right.
Yeah.
I really liked him.
Yes.
I don't see that problem on the budget advisory committee as much. That's my personal.
Right.
I would agree.
I would agree with what Rita just said on that.
I would agree.
One place where the budget advisory committee has struggled in the past, frankly, in my opinion, is with technical matters, IT. And that was why when I heard Eric Johnson's interview, I thought this guy would fit in. They have a wide variety of skills, both financial and management, but there's really not a person on that committee that I know of that wears a tech hat.
Right.
And I think it would be very helpful, especially when evaluating capital projects that come from IT that I occasionally have questions about or perhaps issues with, to have someone who actually has some expertise in managing those types of projects and understands what's involved in developing them. So, IT, he talked about this in his interview, IT touches so much of what the city does. And there is an opportunity there to potentially evaluate some things and make some improvements. I think my first choice is Eric Johnson, just because I think he fills that gap.
I'd agree with Eric Johnson on that one as well.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. He did talk about just his project management background and just the amount of time that he spent in TAG. I think that would be a very valuable resource for the budget advisory committee.
I think both of them would be very competitive. I think Eric could also add value other places. I had Nevin here as maybe more like a specific. I think your point is well taken, Steve, around tech, although that's obviously just one department, right, for all the departments that BAC looks at. And so there's just like a question about, are we over-indexing there? But I think they both could add a ton of value.
Okay. It's the place where the puzzle piece is missing, and that's why I pointed it out specifically. They have coverage in other areas, but that one seems to be kind of a consistent sort of whole.
Anything to add, Tina?
I like both of them. I could see Eric bringing some strength to code advisory, which is another area of interest for him because of his interactions with HOAs and some of that. So
And my red flag with that is the HOA. We get so many complaints. I don't know if you've been to code advisory before, but people can come in and say, we don't want Inglewood to become an HOA, and with how code enforcement comes across, they're turning Inglewood to an HOA. So that would be a concern for me, especially with him being president or being on HOAs and current on. I didn't know District 4 had an HOA.
They don't. He was talking about a condo building in a different.
He says,
The community where he lives is a small housing project that was recently developed and very likely does have an HOA.
Oh,
yeah, current HOA board here in Inglewood. In our
I
small
think
subdivision.
I think he struck me as a sharp enough guy to understand the distinction between the HOA and what the job would be on the code enforcement advisory.
Any So,
I would still put them on budget advisory.
right, okay. I'm gonna put it in pencil just because I'm not hearing a majority just yet for either Eric or Nevin, but.
I thought that Nevin was pretty sharp.
Yeah.
Sharp. And I liked that, the one thing that struck me for a lot of people is that question 3, where it's that conflict. And Nevin answered that conflict with the resolution. I don't remember what Eric said.
I worked on the HOA board, so. Just-
We talked a lot about sewage in response to number 3.
And yeah, and you're right, exactly. And yeah, that's a big one. And he did have the resolution with that, working with people, so. And I guess, looking at both sides of the coin, the one thing with Eric is, although I advocate for renters, Eric is an owner where Nevin rents and has been here for 4 months. And I think that's, as much as I advocate for renters, and I will advocate for renters, that's the one drawback. So, I don't know.
We could come back to it, so I just labeled those 2, and we'll see how the rest falls, how the pieces fall in the other boards. Then we can come back to that one. Code Enforcement Advisory Committee?
I like Linda Hart.
I
for
like
this one.
Linda Hart a lot.
I do too.
I also like Stephen Reynolds Lopez here.
I'm in agreement with Linda. Just haven't really thought too much about the second one. I have no issues with any of the 4 candidates there, so.
What about Linda Hart as the regular and Stephen Lopez as the alternate?
I want him someplace else, so that's kind of why.
Oh, okay.
I want to wait on that, but, I think we can move on. I think we all agree Linda Hart needs to be here.
Yeah.
If there was another person that was really strong, wanted to do it, I would then make her the alternate only because she's
Gotta be board?
probably not gonna, she's not gonna
All
be
the
here
3
for the 3 meetings.
Yeah.
And so by the time that she was able to come regularly, they could automatically move her in to the position.
Yeah.
Now, I'm okay with putting her in the main position if we don't have anybody else.
Yeah.
That's just my thinking.
Okay, I like that, okay. Let's come back to it, but yeah, that's a good point. Cultural Arts Commission, it's very, very difficult.
I liked the Laura Herrera. And what was it she said? Is she the one?
She danced back in the day, yeah.
Performing arts.
Performing arts.
Yeah.
My top 2 were Carolina and Lynn, just from being the liaison to that commission and thinking about what would be helpful to their work. I think Lynn, she talked about doing a lot of event management and event planning. I think that would be very helpful as they're looking to host more events this year and some kind of complicated ones. And then Carolina, with her background in like website design and in graphic design, I think they rely right now on city staff to do a lot for them, and sometimes it's not always at the pace that's the most useful. If they could in-house some of that to CAC, I think that would be really helpful. And I think especially her background she did that project around like neighborhood design, as she literally talked about doing like wayfinding work, and that's what they're doing right now with these median art projects this year. So I think both of them could add a ton of value to that commission.
Okay. Good points. Any further comments, anything that stood out for anyone?
Was Laura Herrera, was she one that said she would be willing to consider?
Yes,
She
be
did.
open to consider others.
And so, I don't know why, I'm thinking, I wonder if she would consider code enforcement, but I don't.
Well, what's funny is like, she's on the sheet here, but I don't see it on the application, but it'd be worth a try potentially to have, I was thinking the same thing.
That's a question.
Yeah, and we can, Sarah, do you know the
What
answer to
about
that?
historic preservation? Oh, wait, we have historic preservation.
We did that, right?
Yeah.
We did.
Yeah, I'd like to look at Laura Herrera for another board. I think that Carolina is really strong. I think that something that just stood out to me here. She's been really active in watching the meetings and like following the work that the Cultural Arts Commission is doing. And any of the applicants that came in to talk to us that mentioned that if you're gonna take time out of, you know, your evenings or away from your family to like be active in watching meetings and participatory, I just think that that's someone that can jump right in and is kind of aware of the types of conversations that happen for the group. So for that, it gives her a leg up in my.
So that was Carolina, right?
Carolina.
Yeah. Okay. She listened to what, like the last 5 prior to this interview?
What's that?
CAC.
Yeah, she listened to 5 of the CAC meetings
Yeah.
before coming here now.
I think we should put her there. I think
Clearly has a passion for the area, and if we can use Laura's skills elsewhere, I think that would be, yeah.
And well, Carolyn, she's been here for less than a year, which I mean, she's got a lot of knowledge from, I mean, what she was saying that she did in Poland and stuff like that is pretty amazing.
I think I was so impressed by her and her husband's enthusiasm though about the city. Like, I am amazed. We often get a lot of new residents who are board and commission, and they are often more excited about serving the city than people who've maybe been here for a long time. That's not like an always thing, but that does happen. And I just think, you know, I was thinking about Steve's comment last night that you started on the BAC when you had lived in the city for about a year, you know, and like I think it led to a lot of really incredible investment in the city. And I think this is an on-ramp to people being part of the community, and I'm excited to see new residents.
Yeah, I love the fact that they rode the train.
Yeah.
That's such a cool comment.
And Lynn Peterson's first choice was actually Inglewood Housing Authority.
Yeah.
I think that they have consensus on Carolina.
Yeah.
And I will say, both she and her husband picked boards where their skill sets fit like perfectly.
Yeah.
Into what the board needs to get done.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, I put her down. I only have pen, but these are pen, so. But we'll come back to it.
Pencil?
I already started writing.
Do you need a blank one?
No, I'm fine. Thank you, Kim.
So where are we at?
So now we're moving to Inglewood Housing Authority.
Okay, so cultural arts, it's.
Yeah, so I have Carolina down for that one at this point, so we'll come back through it and just make sure we're all in agreement. I did like Adam Cox for this.
Yeah, that's
And
mine.
For Inglewood Housing Authority.
they have really struggled to purchase property and that they really need to. And I think that having a real estate expert on that commission would be really helpful.
I think they have a lot of real estate experts, and they have had over the years.
We currently, there's one real estate agent on the board right now, and but another, we had a real estate attorney that she termed out, but I think he'd be great, yeah.
Who was the real estate attorney that turned out?
What was her name? You would ask me. It's not coming to me right now.
Yeah, okay, I think I know who it is, and I don't remember her name either, so that's fine.
Is everyone okay with Adam Cox for now? By the way, and just, Kim, I think I have Lynn Peterson as #1 for Cultural Arts Commission, #2 for Inglewood
Yeah,
Housing Authority.
even on this, she had #1. I have.
Okay.
Oh, you're right. It was wrong on.
Yeah, it was wrong on
this.
here, but
And I
it's-
corrected it. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Nope, we're good. So putting Adam Cox for,
it's-
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Now, was it Jacob Summerson that dropped out?
No, he
or
was the
Rick?
one that was here. It was Rick that dropped out.
Okay, so what is it that he has to offer? I mean.
Well, I think we're gonna I really like them. I do want to see if we can place him on the board. I don't have a place for him yet, but I'm kind of curious what we do about him.
And why are we not looking at him for, the.
Housing Authority?
Mhm.
I think my preference is just Adam. At least for my personal opinion, I just like the background that Adam Cox had and just figured that skill set works well there.
I concur.
I actually like Jacob for ETAC. That's where I had him.
All right, so we're moving on. I actually like Noah.
I like Noah, I think he'd be great there, but I kind of like him for P and Z,
Same.
so. I have Jacob or Nevin
And
for
I like
tech.
Noah.
I had Noah for ETAC.
Yeah, so this is one that we're, we have 3 different names there.
We can come back to it.
Yeah, let's come back to it, because it was, yeah, I had Noah here. I think, Rita, I think you said the same thing, but okay. Let's get firefighter pension, since we don't have any members there, unless somebody has a name potentially for there.
Let's skip it.
Let's skip it.
The reason is we need to find out
Who's left?
who's left.
Okay. We got a historic preservation. We'll skip the non-emergency retirement pension as well. Parks and Rec, this should be fun.
I think it should be easy.
It's pretty easy because
Oh, wait, because we got Cammie now done.
I got
Elizabeth Shaw is done.
Catherine, Chris, Kathleen, and Chris.
So Catherine, Chris, Kathleen, and
Chris,
Chris.
I have Catherine Sturdivant, right?
Yep.
Chris Lambert, Kathleen Hammer, and who was the other one?
Chris.
Gutschenritter.
Kitchen Ritter.
Because Elizabeth Shaw is already.
Yep.
So that
Easy.
And Cammie Jolie.
and Cammie Jolie's already. Yep.
I'm okay with that for now.
So who all do you have? You have,
So we have Catherine Studevant,
yeah,
Chris Gutschenritter, Kathleen Hammer, and Chris Lambert.
Just one question on that, 2 of the terms are shorter than the others.
Can we come back to that in terms?
Draw lots.
so Cassandra Michael,
Has strep throat.
yeah, she didn't.
Yeah, she didn't.
She didn't come.
The other possibility, I see Kathleen Hammer also applied for planning and zoning, so.
But just
If we had
she's
left-
got the conflict of nights though.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right, yep.
All right, so are we open to moving to planning and zoning now?
Yep.
All right, so we got 2 regular members since we're reappointing Brenda, so 2 regular members and an alternate.
So I had Eric Montiel and Noah Kaplan, the 2 regulars.
All right,
I have
anyone else?
Noah on the ETAC.
Yeah.
I actually.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. I would like for the attorney to weigh in on conflict of interest before we decide on this.
Okay. Is that regarding Eric Montel?
So I looked into it, there's nothing in code, in charter, or in state law that prevents an individual with a lot of perceived potential conflicts from not being appointed to a board. Potential interest of Mr. Montel is that he kind of indicated during his interview that all of his business interests were within the city. He disclosed that he might have potential conflicts of interest, either currently or brewing. So under code and under off rules of order and under state law, all he needs to do is disclose that he has a conflict of interest and / recuse himself and not take part in it. Issues that may arise with that is he gonna be conflicted off a lot of issues before P&Z? Unknown. P&Z is also a quasi-judicial board. And as a quasi-judicial board, the quasi-judicial board acts as judges deciding a matter of property interest, meaning that that's the final order that can be appealed to a higher court. And we need to show that we gave due process. Not being impartial in the quasi-judicial board could be a reason for a decision by P&Z being reversed. So there's nothing under state law there's nothing anywhere that says he can't serve or be appointed. But there's a potential for conflicts there. What that potential is, unknown. But ultimately, council has the decision on who to appoint to which board.
And I'm gonna be really honest, I'm not sure that when I asked him the question that he really saw any potential for conflict at all. And
Well, that's
that
because he
was,
said he was doing all, doing.
I can't judge why he said that.
But he said the reason he said he didn't see any conflict is because he said all of the work that his projects he wants to do as use by right, so he's not.
Part of the reason he said it though is the decision is already made about code names. so he doesn't have to worry about that. And so I guess my concern is you all can do what you want to do. I'm just telling you that I believe it could put the city at risk if he goes ahead and makes a decision and then there is a lawsuit that comes back and he doesn't see that there's a problem. But I'm going to stay out of that. You all can decide what you want.
I want to actually argue that I think his involvement in small scale development in Inglewood, being a resident of Inglewood, is exactly the reason why we need somebody like that on the Planning and Zoning Commission. I don't think we would want everybody in that business, but to have somebody who has knowledge of how these codes actually work in practice, I think is an asset to the board. And so I think he would serve the board really well, just specifically because of that. He's got skin in the game. He knows how it's going to affect somebody who goes to try to do one of these projects.
I'm wondering if we can get that same benefit from Mr. Rodell Lopez. I feel your hesitations on Mr. Montel. I would not be my favorite top choice for this position. I do feel like there were some conflicts. I felt like while there was a lot of talking about being familiar with Code Next, but then when it was referred to as Title 16, had no clue what it was. And it just threw me off. So I'm wondering if we could get some of the skill set that you're referencing, Joe, with Mr. Rodell Lopez.
I still don't understand the conflict of interest. That is a very specific
Okay, so
thing.
let me bring up, I'm sorry.
Please don't interrupt me. He has done these projects use by right. That's not, the Planning and Zoning Board is not involved in that at all. We have an established code. The only time a land use issue comes in front of P&Z is if we are talking about changing the land use code, or if there's a special case that needs to be heard by P&Z, like a PUD. He's not doing those types of projects in our city, and he told us that. He gave us examples of the projects he's doing. Sure, he does a lot of work with community development, but as far as his quasi-judicial function would be concerned, there is no conflict. So I think we do a disservice to him and to any other applicant when we allege a potential conflict of interest that doesn't actually exist.
Yeah, just because he is familiar with the system doesn't mean there's any conflict there. You know, again, he's got skin in the game, but it doesn't mean that he's conflicted in any way.
I tend to agree with Joe. I think, especially someone who's a small local developer who's not, trying to tear everything down, but really trying to create things that fit with the character of the community, which he talked about. We should see them as our partners, in this work. And I think having someone with industry expertise to advise would be a benefit to a highly technical commission. And when we asked him last night about any conflicts of interest, he said, when he spoke with the assistant city attorney, he said, "Oh, I would be happy to recuse myself if that ever happened." But because that's not the kind of work that he's engaging in, I don't have a concern. I think we're well within the law, and I think he's agreed to comply if that ever came up. So
my question is, how do you know that you need to recuse yourself? I went to go ask him a question last night and I chose not to. It says in here that what land he has. It says, I'm looking forward to build 4 affordable single-family homes on this parcel, right in his write-up. I was going to ask him, okay, what if council asked P&Z to reevaluate? And I said to him, this is a living, breathing document. It's subject to change. What if we ask P&Z to reevaluate the off-street parking for EDUs, where we want that to possibly be put into the code? He talked about his carriage houses, EDUs. Can he be impartial to that?
Well, in that situation, potentially, if that situation was to come up, he most likely would have to recuse.
No, I don't think so. That's not, that's something that everybody has a skin in the game on. If you own property, then it affects every person exactly the same. And so if there's something that affects everybody in the city, then it doesn't require recusal. Right. It would be, conflict of interest is a very specific definition. And that is that you have a financial interest in the decision in front of you. In other words, if you were to vote on it in one way, you could gain money. If you were to vote on it another way, you would lose money because of that specific question. And he doesn't present with any of that concern as a general rule. So again, I think the fact that he knows how these decisions would affect a small scale developer in Inglewood is an asset to the board. Again, you wouldn't want everybody on the board to be a developer, right? But to have somebody on that board who has those knowledge and skill set, I think has that perspective is really important.
So let me open this door and jump back before I walk through it. What about Gary Conza? He applied for P&Z, and you know, he has some contention with the city regarding a PUD, but his working knowledge with the city and stuff like that, and the inner workings of the city and his background and stuff is phenomenal. Are we going to like him?
I would not be interested in seeing Gary Kozak appointed to this board.
I have 3 other names for planning and zoning that I would like to see within those 3 positions.
Can I ask a question? So is the Mayor Pro Tem's definition of conflict of interest, is that correct, or does conflict of interest involve more than just financial?
Conflict of interest as defined under code under Code of Ethics 11.1, 11.3 is conflict of interest, personal or private, a personal right or pecuniary right or liability that would materially, i.e. not de minimis, affect the representative of the city's financial interest, those of such representatives' family members, or any business with which a representative of the city is associated. The conflict of interest does not include a public interest. So under the definitions, that's what is defined as a conflict of interest.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Didn't he say all the properties he buys has carriage houses?
I think he said it
I-
for his mom.
For his, yeah.
And I thought he said the other properties.
So, sorry, Kim, sorry.
And it's okay.
So just in terms of just placement, I would be fine with Eric, Gina, and Steven as my 3 choices.
I have, oh, go ahead, Joe, sorry.
I was gonna say, I have Eric, Gina, and Noah are my 3 top choices.
Okay.
I had Eric, Noah, and I could go Steven or Gina.
Okay.
And I guess they have to ask, why would you not want Gary on the board because of his issues with the city currently?
I don't want Gary on the board because he has a demonstrated desire to, not see development happen in the city. He has a pre-stated commitment that I disagree with.
But P&Z isn't about development all the time, is it? I mean, isn't that what we just discussed? That's not what P&Z is not doing all the time.
Right.
I mean,
But, well, I guess the answer that Joe's given there, you gave your viewpoint. And so you have 3 candidates that you would rather have. Yeah.
I don't think I'm comfortable appointing someone who's actively suing the city or in active litigation with. I think that's a very foolish decision. So that's why I don't support his appointment.
I have your 3 names. Anyone else? 3 names?
I would like to see Stephen Rudell Lopez
Okay.
Among those.
Okay.
Eric, Steven, Noah were my
Eric, Steven, Noah.
top 3. Just for what it's worth, Mr. Kozak's legal disputes with the city don't factor in for me. It's my concern primarily deals with tact and temperament more than anything else.
Okay.
And so that's where I'm coming from.
Okay.
For me, it would be Gina, Stephen, and Noah for planning and zoning, and I'll also make a comment on Mr. Kozak. I think for me, he really wants to be involved and serve, and I really appreciate that. I do feel a strong sense of a personal agenda oftentimes when he comes to speak to us. But my greater concern is just like the ability to like stay on target when asked a question. So I felt like during the interview process, when we asked some questions, there was a lot of meandering throughout the answers, and that would be my concern, to be able to appoint, especially to a planning and zoning committee, someone that can really track the conversation in my limited time on the committee. It was very challenging to track conversation where you're like learning the language as you go and having that new experience. And he's obviously had some exposure, but I just would want more of a sharpness of mind to stay focused on the conversation. That would be my biggest concern.
So we have majority on Eric and Noah, and it looks like Stephen.
I can support Stephen there.
Okay. So are we okay having Eric in there's one with 4-year term, there's one for a 3-year term, so Eric is the 4 or Noah is the 4, any preference? Does it matter?
Stephen,
In the middle, could Eric be put as the alternate?
Well, I was thinking of having Stephen as the alternate since we had Eric and Noah majority, or there was stronger preference towards those two to start off with.
Stephen has been a resident a lot longer than the rest of them. He's been here 8 years. I would put him in one of the.
Okay.
It doesn't really matter to me.
Okay.
Where they go.
I would put him in one of the regular seats just because of his Elevate Inglewood experience.
Stephen, okay. All right, we'll come back to those in terms of how to fill those. Police pension, we'll leave that blank for now. Public library, we have come to agreement on the last two. All right. So should we go back to Board of Adjustment and Appeals? Yes? So we have Colleen as a regular member. Are we okay putting Gina as a regular member?
Yes. I thought we put Gina in as P&Z.
No, Gina didn't make P&Z.
Stephen and Noah.
Yeah. It was Eric, Stephen, and Noah. And then we'll come back to alternate member. I agree, I wouldn't feel comfortable putting Mr. Kozak as an alternate. Unless anybody disagrees with me there.
Put him where?
No, right now I'm just saying just Gina
Just
for
Gina,
the
so we'll
regular
come back
member.
to it.
Yeah. Budget advisory, do we have any direction on budget advisory? My preference is still Eric.
Chris to another board now, right?
We did.
Um,
My preference is still Eric
Mine is still Eric.
For
budget advisory.
My preference is,
Nevin, okay.
Mine is Nevin.
I like Nevin.
My preference is Nevin as well.
Nevin?
Sounds like we have 4 on Nevin then.
Okay. So Nevin is alternate member for budget advisory. I guess we won't have Stephen as the alternate for code enforcement advisory. We haven't put, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying, this is where I would like to see Eric on code enforcement, along with Linda.
Oh, okay.
I can go with that.
I can go for that.
Eric
We want to make
Johnson.
Eric as the Eric Johnson, yes. Do we want to make him the regular member? And have Linda as the alternate?
Yeah, that's
That's
good
fine with
because
me.
of what?
Are you okay with that, Rita?
That was just Rita's suggestion.
Yeah, I think so.
RJ and Linda. And stop me, Sarah, if you need any clarification. Cultural arts, we have Carolina. Are we still good there?
Yeah.
Adam Cox within Inwood Housing.
Where did we end up with Laura at? I mean,
Nothing yet.
She was such a,
We'll get her.
So ETAC, it looks like we're down to just Jacob.
I think that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So go ahead, Kim.
Where did we put Noah Kaplan?
He's in
PNC.
PNC.
P&Z.
I really like him for
His
ETAC.
well, his first choice at legal.
Are we okay with Jacob as the alternate member on ETAC?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah? Okay. Skipping firefighter, we got historic preservation, non-emergency, parks and rec is done. Okay.
I think the only two people we didn't place were Laura and Lynn.
Yeah, I really want to find a place for Laura.
Can somebody
Go ahead,
remind
Lynn.
me which Lynn?
Laura was the dancer towards the end. Lynn was earlier in the evening. Lynn works for the nonprofit Endeavor with Youth and DPS.
Okay.
Wasn't she part of AmeriCorps, but?
I think Laura was part of it.
Yeah, Laura.
And then was the
Laura was.
social worker?
Yep.
That's right.
Does Lynn is Peterson?
Yes, Lynn Peterson.
Yeah.
Front of house during COVID.
Looking it over, I'm not sure if they really fit with the open boards.
Yeah, I would have liked to seen Laura in this arts. What was her second choice?
Who's that?
Laura?
Laura, Code Enforcement Advisory?
You know, I don't think that was
I
right.
don't think so either, because I don't recall her saying that.
I think
Here,
you asked
I
her.
have it. She just had cultural arts and she was open to do.
She was open to any board.
Yeah.
Who, which one?
But,
Laura.
Laura,
and hasn't she lived here 8 years?
No,
How long has she lived here?
2 years.
2 years? Okay.
In Colorado for
Somebody
3
else.
years.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been here 2 years.
so of the, how long has Lynn Peterson been here?
3 years.
3 years.
I know Lynn also applied for the housing authority.
Yeah.
Just an idea, what if we put her there and then put Adam on BOAA? Like her. I think he would be a good.
Well, he would be good there too, but I actually really like him at housing authority.
I agree.
Even though
I'm
it's
just
like,
trying to get
yeah, I know,
everybody
I get it,
fit.
yeah.
So now, you're saying we should put Adam on the
BOAA,
BOAA and then,
Lynn
Who?
Peterson. Lynn Peterson and,
And housing authority. So I thought she would be good there too.
yeah, she would.
And we do already have at least one realtor.
I
On
think
housing
that would
authority,
be
so-
a good,
I'm fine with it. If she didn't want to be on it, I do want to find placement for as many people as possible.
Same. I think also we could put Laura on BOAA because she said she's
Yeah.
open to other,
That's true.
anything. The thing about, and Joe, you're the liaison, so I give you, I defer to you, but his emphasis on analysis and trends is what I felt like. It wasn't just like a run-of-the-mill realtor. It was someone who I think was really interested in analyzing some of the kind of next level information that I think that level of professional expertise might be harder for the housing authority to have access to, which is.
Yeah, I can't deny that that would be helpful.
Yeah.
may I ask a question?
Sure.
Is the same amount of people with the Affordable Housing Task Force still with you? Or is there a position, or is there a position open there that Adam could be put in?
No.
No.
there's not.
Okay, well, just spitballing there.
Yeah, I was
You
thinking
would
the same
make
thing.
up
I
for
was like,
that,
he would be great there.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that.
I just want him involved. Can we just have him show up? And not even
Showing up.
vote and
He
not
was
even
at our
like,
last council meeting.
just,
Who?
Adam Cox. Is that who you were
Okay.
talking about?
yeah.
the only thing I think that we need to be careful of is in the Board of Adjustment and Appeals, they're making
Yep.
decisions, they have to know the code, they have to know the law. So, I'm not saying that about any one person, I'm
Yeah.
just saying about all
No,
of
I
them.
get it, yeah. I still would
That's
feel
why I
comfortable
liked Adam for that
Cox,
one,
yeah.
because he seems like the kind of guy who's gonna do his homework and be
Yeah.
able to analyze the situation really well.
And I have him as the alternate anyway, so, right now. I'd be okay with that, putting Adam as the alternate on BOAA,
Yeah.
Lynn Peterson on.
I think that'd be a good
housing
idea.
authority. Okay.
Yeah.
What about Laura and them?
I'm not sure if she wants to be on the pension boards. That's what's left, just the pension board.
What happens if we don't?
Well,
fill
I
this?
thought we were gonna move him. Adam was gonna go to, as the alternate to BOA.
Yes.
And then move Laura to.
Nope,
No,
Lynn.
Lynn.
And
The other,
Oh.
yeah. Lynn Peterson to Housing Authority. That was her second choice.
So is the only thing that Laura,
No,
Fine,
she was
fine.
open, but she was open to any.
she was open to anything, but what?
So Laura loves the arts. Ton of work experience.
It looks pretty flexible, actually.
Yeah.
This is a learning opportunity.
And Parks and Rec doesn't have an alternate position
No.
because she talked about the parks.
I'd
Can I be honest here? I almost would rather have her on Parks and remove Chris Lambert.
Oh, I liked Chris Lambert. I think because we talk so much about outdoor parks, but he has the specialty for the rec center stuff that I don't think anyone else is really paying as much attention to. I would maybe remove Chris Gucci-Ritter before I removed Chris Lambert personally.
Any thoughts there, anyone? Or just keep that?
Which one was Chris Lambert?
He
Works at the gym,
works at the gym.
talks about like programming around Maui and
Up in the mountains,
center.
right?
Right. Yeah, I really liked Parks and Rec.
Okay, so just leave as is then.
or
I'd be happy to move Chris.
Ritter.
From Parks and Rec if we wanted to bring Laura in.
Did Chris say he was willing to serve? Remember if we asked?
Yeah, well, he was the one that wanted to at some point run for council.
Oh, that's right. And he's been here, what, for a blink?
A few years.
I thought he's been here for a couple months.
What would we be moving into? Who would we be moving on to Parks?
Laura would go.
Laura Herrera would take one of the Parks positions, but only if we could find a place for Chris.
And Chris,
What about,
budget advisory or Parks and
Well,
Rec?
let's just push the envelope a little bit with Chris. Would you have as strong of an interest in running for council if we appointed you to one of the pension boards? I'm just asking, it's not
Or-
like
or
glamorous
both
or
of them.
exciting, but like you want to be here and serve the city, and that was something that he stressed a lot, so I'm just wondering if we could
How often do they meet?
have some
Who?
interest.
oh, quarterly. Only
Not very
quarterly.
often.
Not very often.
Can you serve on more than one, or is that a
Yeah.
conflict?
Yes, and as a matter of fact, they're really trying to combine
Trying to
them all,
combine, yeah.
I think
Pam was
that's
talking
a
about
great
combining
fit.
them.
right?
I'm glad to hear that, because when I first was looking at the list, I was like, why do we have all of these one-offs?
Well, and I think have been talking about it for quite a while, but the problem is the firefighters pension board we don't have a fire department anymore. And so there are no people on it right now. And so I don't know if that's creating a legal problem to move it under the other boards. Do you know the answer to that?
No, I don't, but yes, the firefighter pension board requires the number of firefighters to be on the board if you don't have a fire department. How do you fill the board without members that exist?
Right, how do you do that? But there is a pension fund that has a lot of money in it.
Well,
Yes,
and to be fair on the pension fund piece of it with Chris, he did speak a lot
He's
to
got
having
budget
interest in budgets.
He's got a budget background.
Yeah.
And Chris has only been here 6
So-
months.
Could be a better,
I'm okay with that
like
change.
skill set wise, could be.
I'm okay with that change.
You're okay asking Gucci Ritter to serve on the pension boards, all of them?
Oh, you know what? I think that I had thought about that.
Yeah?
I think that might be a good idea.
Okay.
Somebody's got to.
I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it. All right, so I'll start reading these off. We're gonna have to make a decision on where to slot people in terms of
So,
full-time slots or.
and just one question, please. So then we're saying we want to place everybody everywhere. There's one person that And I'm taking it consensus is Gary will not be placed on the board or commission, even if it's not a quasi-judicial one, where it's just a committee that serves the people.
Correct. As of how we have it right now, that is correct.
Okay.
All right, so I will go through the names and then we can, so I think we're okay with the first few. So Board of Adjustment and Appeals, regular member, we have Colleen. Second member would be Gina. The alternate member would be Mr. Cox.
And we can
Adam
ask
Cox?
him if he's willing to do that.
If he's willing to do that, right. So did you get that, Sarah? Okay. Budget Advisory Committee, we have Nevin as the alternate member. Code Enforcement Advisory, we have Eric as the regular member, Linda Hart as the alternate. Cultural Arts Commission, we have Carolina as the alternate member. Lynn Peterson for the Inglewood Housing Authority, alternate member. For ETAC, we have Jacob Summerson, alternate member. Firefighter Pension Board, we'll ask Chris Guchenritter. I'm not going to say that any more times. We're done. Joe Fragola for the Historic Preservation Commission. Chris G for the non-emergency. For Parks and Rec Commission, we'll have to make a decision here, but I have Kathleen, Laura Herrera, and Chris Lambert. Any preference in who's going to have the 2 4-year terms and who's going to have the 2 2-year? Well, 1 2-year term and 1 1-year term.
No preference.
So, I'm sorry, you said Catherine?
So Catherine, so I guess my preference would be to have Catherine Sturtevant as one of the 4-year members, Kathleen Hammer as the second 4-year member. Actually, I wouldn't, it doesn't matter if it's Kathleen Hammer there or Laura Herrera. One of the two as the 4-year member, the other one taking the 2-year position. Any preference?
I could go for that.
And then,
I'm sorry, go
and
ahead.
there's a 1 year, right?
And the 1 year would have Chris.
Okay, so Catherine Sturtevant and Kathleen Hammer on the 4-year ones?
Yes.
And then who was on the 2-year?
Laura Herrera.
It doesn't really matter, does it? Because
No.
they're just gonna get they'll just get reappointed, you know, unless they're causing a problem.
Or unless, I mean, some of these weren't their first choice.
Yeah.
It'd be better to have them on a lower term if they decide they don't want to do it.
So,
So
Know what
that
I'm
would be
saying?
Laura then, because Laura didn't have it as number 1, so Laura would be the 1 year.
The 1 year?
potentially there.
Because then that would give them an
They
opportunity
could
to
fill out their
decide,
term and,
oh, I don't know if I like this, so.
yeah, that's a
So-
good point.
Okay, we
Laura
can do
for the
that.
1 year.
Laura for the 1 year. Have Chris as the 2-year. And then
the Cats.
Kathleen Hammer and Kat Sturtevant for the 4 years. Got that, Sarah? You got a pencil over there, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Planning and zoning, we have, we'll have to make a decision here as well. We have Eric. We've already decided we'll have Stephen as a regular member. And either, well, Noah's the third, Eric or Noah is the alternate member. And that's Eric Montel.
I would do Eric for regular because it's his first choice and Noah for alternate because it's his second choice.
Okay, I'm down with that. So Noah as the alternate member, Stephen as the regular member. For the 4-year, Eric as the 3-year member. And Brenda, obviously, the 4-year.
Mhm.
Good there?
and
Did that make sense that
Who's the other regular?
So it'd be, no,
Oh, that Gina. Not that.
No,
one.
not-
no, Gina didn't make,
She was on Board of
on
Adjustment
BOA.
and Appeal,
Oh,
right?
that's right.
okay.
Oh, it was Stephen.
So, yeah, so
Yes.
who are the 3? So we have 3.
So we have Brenda H. as the 4-year term.
Oh,
She's
okay,
getting
that's right.
reappointed. Yeah.
Got it, okay, never mind.
Police board, we have Chris G. again. Public library board, all 5 reappointments. Sustainability commission, Christine serves as the regular member. Actually, both of them do.
Both the same.
Christine and Elizabeth, and then we have Drevis then Marjan, and then Cami as the alternate. All right. Anything else, everyone? I think that's,
There was one that I missed or two I missed, I think. The Housing Authority went to.
Lynn Peterson.
Lynn, and then, ETAC.
ETAC would be Jacob Somerset.
Okay.
All right, everyone. Cool. Thank you very much, everyone, for that effort. I'll see you all on Saturday. We're off next Monday. And...
Oh, that's right.
All right, everyone.
See you guys.
Meeting is
My
adjourned.
spouse.
Yeah. Have a great evening, everyone.
You too, thank you.